Uh, so it's an OWL is super interesting. How did this begin?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I've been in the financial service business my entire career, giving advice, networking, and I moved to Florida 6-7 years ago with my family. I have 2 young children, and I started podcasting. And you see in the background, it says the shrimp tank over here. I've interviewed over 250 entrepreneurs, and I've heard their journey and how they scaled a business. I've learned from their failures, and COVID-19 hit, and just the light bulb went off. Everybody was dying to have conversations. Everyone missed human interaction. They wanted to network. And I just looked at all the platforms like LinkedIn, and I knew from my struggles, I would have so much difficulty talking with people, getting them on phone calls. And then I would get always frustrated with all the cancellations that would occur once a meeting was set. And same thing with cancellations, even for my podcast, where I'm giving someone such value to an in-person show and footage and recordings. And I just thought there had to be a better tool out there, and it didn't exist. So at that point, it's just like COVID, just kind of made me think outside the box. I go, wouldn't it be cool when I drive to work every morning for 30 minutes, after I listen to a podcast, I could maybe call the person I just listened to, right? I always want to pick their brain more about that conversation they were speaking about on a podcast, but you go on Instagram, you go on LinkedIn, and you get ignored, right? I'm there, a business owner, willing to even spend money. And I know they'd be willing to take my money, but there's no platform that has it set up properly. Like everyone's like, oh, you just Venmo them. It's like, that's awkward to Venmo somebody money to speak with them, right? So there's no real platform out there that enables, payment processing smoothly and giving people that opportunity to take time if they want to speak to other individuals. And it's so cool. I've been on OWL where I go live and I get calls from friends. They're like, oh, I saw you live on OWL, so I knew you were willing to accept my call, or colleagues or other past guests of the shrimp tank, because it's too uncomfortable, right? I don't know on my morning drive that Dan is up drinking his coffee and he's willing to have a chat with me. So it's so unique that you could drive to Disney World, which I'm going tomorrow for 3 hours, and just jump on a couple calls and get so much accomplished during my drive. And we're all looking to do more passionate projects. We've seen the growth of entrepreneurship, the gig economy, and we just see so many individuals after their 9 to 5, they come home and they're working on their passion project. And then OWL enables that, because they could do it from 5 to 10 o'clock at night, for example, and really just, scale that other business outside of their 9 to 5 and use OWL as a connection tool to build relationships. Because we all know that, the people with, the biggest brands have the biggest networks at the end of the day. And they've put so much time into, having people trust them, and like them. And with OWL, it enables that because of the review mechanism at the end of every phone call.